Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to IBU intensive 5 days course for basketball coaches. Very nice to see you here in Lithuania. Very nice to see everybody in everywhere you are. In Lebanon, we have coaches from Lebanon. We have coaches from Palestine. We have coaches from Philippines and other countries watching online. So today we are starting, as I mentioned, a 5 days course which mainly focused on youth training. And basically through these 5 days we will cover all main thing what need coach to know about youth training based on Lithuanian experience. So who are watching online, please write all the questions on Facebook comments, and we will ask professors, and we'll have practical, we'll have theoretical classes. Today, all day theoretical, free lectures here. Another, the last one will go to Žalgiris school. We'll meet director of Žalgiris school and be watching practice as well. Tomorrow we'll start practical practices. So I really think that all the program very interesting, and during that time we'll know each other. We will know much more about youth training, especially based on Lithuanian example, based on Lithuanian model. And we start today with Professor Rutenis Paulauskas about youth player development and what we think that each coach must know, at least in Lithuania. And okay, still we are really good in youth basketball. Lithuanian boys are first in Europe and third in world ratings. I know why Canada is second, by the way, no one knows maybe. But USA first, Canada second, and Lithuania third. So I think, yeah, we will share these knowledges, what and how we are training, and I think you will have many questions. So let's make it totally informal. Just ask when you feel it necessary, and just make kind of not, let's say, monologue but dialogue during all the session. So please, Rutenis, and we start.
Okay, thank you, Mindaugas, for introduction. And my short bios is over here. I am a former basketball coach. Right now I am a professor of two universities. As I used to be a basketball coach, I already understood that I have to gain some extra knowledge, making some studies, making some investigations, and I started to study at a PhD, and it was a big success for myself because I get a lot of information from my professors. I get information not exactly from basketball teachers, but especially from teachers who understand very well sports science and sports training. So after that, I developed my coaching philosophy, let's say, and I was pretty successful. I started to coach as I was 23 years old. I started to coach because I saw that I have no any chances to be a basketball player, but I wish to be a basketball player, and my idea was just to be in basketball somewhere close to the court, somewhere close to the players, and I started to be a referee at the beginning, but referee for me it was a dirty job, and I didn't continue so long, and it was one chance to teach kids and to teach some students, and I started to do that. So my coaching career lasted 18 years, and after that it was a big break after I finished one job, and during this break I was invited to teach students at the university, and it lasted right now 10 years, and I didn't coach for 9 years already. But each year I have a lot of teaching sessions, working together with the young basketball coaches. Every week, twice a week, I have training sessions with the young players, because I have the opportunity to cooperate with one very, very good and great basketball school in Vilnius, Sostinės krepšinio mokykla. It's like a capital city basketball school, the biggest one, following rating and following their success. They were in the first rating in Lithuania. So we have a lot of young coaches, we have a lot of kids. We lead in Lithuania, and every time we're getting some information, like a feedback from our job. So I'm really happy to share my ideas because there is a coaching experience, there is scientific experience, and there is academical experience talking with you. So this is my short introduction. May you introduce yourself very shortly. Okay, what kind of coaching experience you have, and just please your name and what country you are from, and how many years did you coaching or training?
Okay. My name is Alan. I come from Estonia, and I've been coaching like 10 years, I think. And I coach under 14 boys, under 16 boys, and women's national championship team as an assistant coach.
Okay.
I'm Anastasia. I'm coming from Estonia. I'm coaching girls under 14, and I have been coach about 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Okay. Did you play basketball before?
Yes.
Okay. What was your level of playing? Regional or in?
Estonian highest level.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Greta. I'm originally from Kaunas, from Lithuania, but live in Ireland for 15 years. So I coach 6 years in Ireland because my kids started to play. I coach boys under 12, under 14, under 16, but this year I moved to under 14 girls.
Okay. In Ireland, basketball
Very low level.
very low level because football, soccer is.
Yeah, in Ireland, to be a coach, anyone can be a coach.
Uh-huh.
Just go to course for 1 day.
1 day.
One day.
Oh, that's easy.
And you can be a coach. So
Okay.
that surprised me a lot. But
Mhm.
I like to be involved with my kids, so I started
Okay.
with that.
Okay.
I want to develop myself.
Excellent. Welcome here.
Thanks.
My name is Bartek, I'm from Poland, from Gdańsk.
Okay.
I'm a coach from 1999, so it's 20 years.
Uh-huh.
I'm working only with boys because I'm not psychological,
Mm-hmm.
so I cannot work with girls.
Uh-huh.
And now it's the first season when I started to work like coordinator of one club in Gdańsk. So
Mhm.
I'm a main coach of senior team and coordinator of every young
Mhm.
teams in this.
Mm-hmm. It means you like a senior coach who is responsible for all strategy of the
Yes,
club.
yes.
Okay.
But this senior team is Polish second league,
Uh-huh.
so it's the senior, but more of guys is under 20 or under 18.
Okay. 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 So sounds good. Everything, and until other part of the group will join us, we will start from main things. And as Mindaugas said, this is a Lithuanian example. This is Lithuanian case, and we think that in Lithuania we have a lot of really good examples how to develop youth program. And we have very small population, less than 3 million, but very intensive and very well organized youth program allows us to get every year high results, good results in youth championships. And we are really missing great players for the national team. We're missing players who play EuroLeague. Anyway, we have a lot of players, especially who play in Žalgiris, Lithuanian players. And right now we have coaches and a few players who play for other teams. And we have, of course, always players who play NBA. Right now we have Domantas Sabonis and Jonas Valančiūnas. And forever we have prospects who are coming, and we are looking for some ways how to develop them. So you saw my bios, and I was a coach of some professional teams in Lithuania. I was in Lebanon one year. I was in Moscow for 4 years. I was a coach, a main coach, a head coach, and also was assistant. I made some wins, some trophies, and of course, right now I am a lecturer of universities too, as I told. I was a FIBA European Coaching Certificate instructor, and also had some internship in Worcester University and some Spain universities. Later we will talk during the breaks, and it's time to start our session. And as in your program, youth player development, what each coach must know. So coaching is a complex and very sustained, or how it's possible to say, every time changing job, and you have to renew your knowledge every time. But first of all, you have to have some basics, because you have to know how to start to coach. And in Lithuania, it's not an easy way how to get a coach's diploma. You have to study for 4 years at least, or you have to finish 1 year course. And after 5 years, you have to renew your certificate for 4 and 5 years. But if you get a diploma from the university, from sports university, you can be a coach for rest of your life. And you have a lot of disciplines. You have like pedagogy, you have to study psychology, physiology, and also methodological aspects of coaching. In this course, what you have this week, we will try to go shortly through the main things, and I will try to explain you from a coaching point, and also to make a feedback of each explanation. And probably it will not be so deep. What I will try to stress most important moments, and I will try to explain most important moments, because everything what I tell you, it's for sure tested in the real life, in real practice. So just, if you have any questions, or you understand, or you not agree, not hesitate and ask me, and we will try to extend all these declarations in your that understand that. So first of all, basketball training consists several tasks. This is a physical skills training, and that's a good idea for kids to practice basketball or to train basketball for development. This is a technical training, of course, very important. This is a tactical skills formation. You will see what is. And it's development of mental abilities. And each father and mother knows that sometimes I just want that my son or daughter attend basketball training for several of these reasons. Probably those reasons comes together. And if they say, why do you decide to train basketball, they say, okay, just for physical skills training, I want that he will be stronger and he will be much more tougher and he will develop some character skills or so on. But in Lithuania, most of parents, they wish that their kids will be basketball players. And they understand that this is a complex thing. You have to get a lot of things from the training, and probably parents, they wish to be a basketball players, and later they see that they were not successful in basketball, and probably their kids will be much more successful than they were. So, talking about physical training, we have just shortly, we will go through, okay? We have some physical abilities, very important physical abilities, as quickness. It's repeated sprint abilities. Probably you know what that is. Sometimes we say that basketball develops some physical endurance. Do you understand what this? Endurance, it's a long time you can work. But exactly this is repeated sprint abilities, because you have to sprint in basketball a lot of times, sometimes 20, 30, 40 times, depending on how long you play on the court. Okay, this is important to develop strength. That's true, because basketball is getting much more physical contacting game, and especially in the paint, you have to have some strength abilities. You have to have agility. Do you understand? This is and this, those two things. Quickness, yes, because you have to run fast and you have to accelerate and decelerate fast, yes. But agility, you have to change direction. You have to go one side and another side. This is also agility, yes. Sometimes you have to quickness to shoot faster. This is depends on the quickness. And agility, it's like a complex things. Yes, it's a coordination also, because you have to play with the ball, you have to play with your teammates, you have to play against your opponents, and much more coordinated players, they have much more advantage. And muscle power, yeah, this is one of the biggest issue, and you have professor from sports university who will explain you how to develop strength and muscle power, those two different things, and that's interesting and that's very important. And in Lithuania, because we have, as I told you, very small population, and comparing with Spain, okay, they have a faster basketball. They have much more players who have better physical abilities. So we focus much more on other things if you have these abilities for our players. The second is technical training. Technical training, we have two very important issues. One, offensive technique, ball control and body control. Of course, you will get a lot of practical information exactly on the court. Coaches, experienced coaches, will explain you how to develop one or another technical skill. And we have defensive technique, on ball and off ball. I always ask to my students, okay, what do you think, what is much more important, to have good offensive or defensive technique? They say, okay, for me it's a much more important offensive technique, because if you see that you can shoot or dribble the ball, yes, they will take you to the team, but at the same time, that's absolutely equal. Those two issues are the same importance, and if you want to develop in the right way your offensive technique, you have to apply correct defensive technique to your players. It's not possible to play in your training session offensive stuff, not applying defensive technique. It means that those two things, they have to go together. And offensive technique, we have very big block of offensive technique. This is like, we have ball control and body control, as I told you. shooting development. Shooting also contains jump shot and layups. Yes, we have dribbling development and also passing, catching technique. And that's take from the beginning, from the initial phase until the professional player play at their teams. And we have also like moving, like positioning, like also screening block and rebounding block. And when you attend practical sessions, okay, you will develop those parts, you will develop those blocks, also asking to the coaches, okay, asking what kind of shooting is the best in this way. Okay, generally we have like free throw shooting, like jump shooting, like hook shooting, also layups, 3 ways of layup, underhand, overhand, and hook shot. Also we have dribbling. There are a lot of examples, how the high dribble, low dribble, okay, in which case we use that. Passing, that's very, very big issue, and I attend a lot of training sessions, and we can say that in Lithuania we have very good passing culture, and players know how to share the ball. During the game on Thursday, when you attend Real Madrid and Žalgiris, okay, pay much more attention on passing. How Real Madrid move the ball and how they pass. 2 different philosophies, Žalgiris philosophy and Real Madrid philosophy. They run fast, they run very simple basketball. Lithuanians, they play with a lot of systems. But there is, you know, what kind of difference? They have very, very good players in Real Madrid. And if you have a good players, you can play simple basketball like NBA. If you have like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant or other guys, okay, you can play 1-1 a lot. But if you have players who are lower level, you have to play with the system, because if you want to win, you have to apply something special. So passing is one of the most important things, yes, but to pass the ball, before you pass, you have to find a lot of opportunities how to get open. And also defensive technique, we have also big stuff. We have stuff on ball and off ball technique. We have different technique playing inside. You know that, yes, especially big players, okay, how they play in fronting and how they play inside the paint. We have outside, absolutely different technique. And how we teach kids, okay, we have on screen, yes, defense, and we have a lot of stuff, okay, playing pick and roll. There are like 7, 8 options how to stop playing pick and roll, and you will see that, okay, off ball, weak side defense, strong side defense, on-screen defense, and rebound, okay? And, okay, you will fulfill this stuff, okay, during the rest of your life, okay? And always you will get some small detail, okay? For sure you will take that and you will use or you will reject. Tactical training. Tactical training, we have offensive and defensive, we have individual, we have group, we have team, and the same we have in defense. Yeah, what does it mean? That's players' behavior in each situation. That's techniques, and at the same time, what kind of decision he is making. Individually, probably he could be strong, but in the group tactic, playing pick and roll, he could be weak, yes, offensively. During my coaching career, I had a lot of players who were excellent playing 1-1 and very strong tactically, individually playing 1-1. They knew how to shoot, they knew how to dribble, they choose right decision every time playing 1-1, but they couldn't play with the players who are teammates. And the most complex tactic is the team tactics, defensively and offensively. And that's different examples. Basketball school example, where is the most big focus on individual and group tactic, and you will see EuroLeague game that team tactics play the biggest impact on the game. So those two things you will develop during your whole life. So mental training, it's a fourth issue. That's a fourth issue, yes. Probably you already see that psychological preparation for the matches is very important, and some players tactically, technically, and also physically excellent, but psychologically they cannot play. There are a lot of reasons why they don't play, yes, and ladies basketball and men's basketball is a little bit different psychologically, yeah, but okay, I had also experience working with the Lithuanian women's national team. There are a lot of common things, and you have to form this, yes. Attitude formation, attitude to the practice. That's very important. And we say sometimes ethics of the practice. Yes, this is very also important. Principles of fair play, we have also developed that, and analysis of workout progress. Analysis, okay? If your players starting to understand what kind of process they have to follow, okay, that's also getting very important. So, it's very known that the level of individual technical abilities depends on the level of development of other abilities. So, those two pictures show us that, for example, this player shooting in one way, and Margazol, he has to shoot another kind of shot. It means if you have one kind of physical abilities, you develop your technical abilities in one way, but if you have another physical abilities, you have to develop your shooting. If you have different height, if you have different power, you have ability to improve your shooting technique another way. The same with passing, the same with dribbling, and you have to know what kind of players' abilities you have developed. In Lithuania, it's very popular right now to teach all players the same technical skills until the age of 14, let's say. We are not selecting centers, we are not selecting point guards, okay? We develop them until 14 years old, teaching all technical and tactical skills. Did you understand what I said? Okay, so, but we have to understand if he is a small size player, okay, he has to improve his shooting outside. But if he has big body or he has big power, he can play under the rim, he can play inside, and that's a basketball rules, that's a basketball strategy. And we have to really understand that. So, it was did a research and established relationship which suggests that the throwing technique depends on the level of certain physical features. So, shooting technique depends on power, on coordination and on quickness. If you have no enough power, like ladies, at the beginning they have no power, how they shoot? Yes, they shoot taking a low ball position. Who has a jump and power, they taking ball in a high position. So it so much depends. The same with the kids. And last year with the colleagues from abroad, we had discussion. What is a better way how to shoot the ball for the kids, and especially for the beginners? And they said, no possible to shoot this way. That's possible only pocket shot, because they have less power, yes, and they can shoot, and you have to find a proper teaching way how to teach them. And also depends on coordination, it depends on quickness. For example, I see and I saw now, I see now and I saw before how it's difficult to teach the player to shoot from the left side. If he is a right-hander, to shoot from the left side after the dribble. And if he has no coordination, okay, he always goes to the right and he is trying to shoot to the right. But always that's very clear idea. If you go to the right, everybody will try to block you to go to the right. Everybody will try to stop you to go to the right. And if you try to go to the left, okay, you will get much more options how to score. So quickness, coordination allows you to teach. It means you have to develop this, and you have to develop this, and you have to develop this to get a final result. You have to know that. Also, tactic depends on the level development of other abilities. Tactics is like a way how you play, but you choose this way depending on other abilities. And physical fitness, that's one. Technique and also mental abilities. Let's say you have a team which is very quick, which is very tall. What kind of tactics will you choose? For sure, you will press, or you will play active defense, or you will choose another kind of tactical decisions. But if you have slower, if you have taller team, probably you will play some zone, or you will play some help, depending on your opponent. It also depends on technique. Yeah, if you have taller players, you will push the ball inside. Yes, and also mental abilities, how you cooperate. It so much depends on the tactics. So, knowing this, yes, you have to apply right decision. And the integrity of basketball training is getting much, and as I want to say, very important. One of the most important practical requirements in basketball is development of all abilities in a complex way. Do you understand? Now I want to stop what I say here, because there is a problem, and if it is a problem in Lithuania, I guess that this is a problem everywhere, especially in some countries who trying to get information how to improve basketball players. For example, I say that we have some period when we practice only physical conditioning. Yes, it is a period, for example, during the summer. Some kids, you know, they 2 weeks working with some athletic coaches, and they practice physical conditioning. After they finish physical conditioning, they starting to practice technical abilities. not anymore physical, just focus on technical abilities. After that, they starting to work together with the group, focusing on tactical abilities. I show you and I explaining you like a, not typical example, but just showing the periods of training. And finally, what happened? 5 weeks ago, you started to work on physical abilities. After 5 weeks, you forgot what was done with your physical abilities. 3 weeks ago, you started to improve your technical abilities. Dribbling, yes, but you lost already some conditioning, how to run and dribble faster. And finally, you started to work on tactical abilities. You already forgot physical and technical. Only focus on tactical. I don't want to say that you forgot everything, but you forgot a lot, about 60 or 70% what you practiced before. So integral training is getting much more important when you have to develop everything together. How much time should be spent on each exercise in the workout? So this is a workout. And how much time you have to spend on each exercise or on each part of my previous mentioned aspects of training: technical, tactical, physical, and also mental. And that's a big question, some coaches from abroad, they're asking, okay, please tell me a Lithuanian model. Which way is the best? Okay, how many time we have to deliver to tactical training? That's not possible to answer, because that depends on players' abilities, that depends on age, that depends on time also, and it's all depend on you. If you choose a right, way of training, if you choose a right method of training, for sure you will get a good result. So before we start to train, we have to know some few training laws. Do you know some training laws? This is a training law in the sports training methods. Of course, we have to understand. So, atsiprašau, gal yra vandens čia būdavo tokia stovėdavo? Aha, gerai tada. So, the human body has a laws of adaptation to external and environmental factors. And one of the strongest external factors in physical and mental strain is a physical and mental strain. During this, body is fatigued. The function and structures of the player's body must adapt to it. So, generally to say that not possible to get some result without training and without fatigue or without physical load or physical strain. That's true. So, first and most important, or one of the most important training laws is a supercompensation. And you have to know that, okay, during the training. And some coaches, I will tell you later, okay, were trying to ignore that. And finally they were not succeed because they ignored that. I have to explain and to give some, feedback of that. One of the unique human adaptive phenomena is the supercompensation cycle. So, when we start basketball training, we get some stimulus or physical load, which makes us to go down and feel fatigue. After some time, this is the first phase of training, we get a compensation after we taking rest. But what's important and interesting that we getting higher comparing with the previous phase, and we call this supercompensation because body is getting in the higher level, and if we will not use a practice during this compensation, it's getting involution and we get the same phase what we started before. So this is a drill, or this is an exercise. After the exercises we get fatigue, we get supercompensation, and we get involution if we will not get any extra physical load. Let's see another example. We get performance improvement, and every coach is looking for performance improvement. And parents, they are also asking, I wish that my son will improve during the year. But you saw that you practice every single day during the whole week and you get not improvement. You know, I get one very interesting experience during my coaching in Lebanon. It was an obligation to practice every day from Monday to Saturday, and on Sunday we had to play one game. And if we just look at this scheme, every day was stimulus, fatigue. You know, you was in the compensation way, and after that you get stimulus and you had to get fatigue again. So you know what I decided to do? We practice Monday very hard, Tuesday just tactics, very light. It was like for compensation. Wednesday we practice again very hard. Thursday light practice, yes. Friday we practice very hard. Saturday we practice only tactics, and on Sunday we were fresh, going on super compensation pick, and on the top of the super compensation, and finally we play a successful game. So that's possible. If you know this, that's possible to plan your practice. If you plan your practice in this way, as I told you before, your performance will be improved. So stimulus must be on the super compensation top. And if you have your practice during the week, it's the best idea to give a maximum physical load when your players get ready or they took enough rest. You can summarize physical load. 3 days in a row later we will talk about this, about microcycles. You can do 1 and 2 practice in 2 days. Monday, Tuesday, after 1 day rest. It's not a matter you practice light or you just give a day off, okay? You can get super compensation on Thursday and you will practice again hard. So this show you, okay, you get tired, stimulus, okay, you get ready, okay, and you see improvement, okay, because you getting less and less and less fatigued after each practice. And we have absolutely different picture of this maximal stimuli and no enough rest or not compensation. This is ignorance of compensation. And every time you get stimuli, when your body is not recovered, your performance is getting down. So probably this is a reason why we will not improve, and it's so much individual, especially at the beginning. Look, we have different training experience. That's one reason why it's difficult to apply physical load in the right way. We have different of the players. If you say run 300 meters for small player, for short player, it will be one physical load. For player who is 2 meters 10 with a weight 120 kilos, it will be absolutely different physical load. And after this practice, one will be fresh, another one will be not recovered enough. So you have to follow that. You have to follow that, and you have to apply all necessary physical load. That's a big issue, and to control and to organize practice in the right way, it's not easy. So, but after training session or after one cycle, after the week, you have also to understand that physical load and rest are two most important components which make your development in the right progression. Is it clear what I say? You understand? Okay, so another law of physical training is a dominant. The dominant is a unified mechanism of the nervous, humoral, and executive systems. The function of dominant system is to promote protein synthesis in structures that have been fatigued. At the same time, it suppresses the service of non-working systems. So, better if I explain. Showing some pictures. What does it mean, dominant? You see 4 different examples of athletes. This is a bodybuilder, this is a sprinter, this is long distance runner, and this is a basketball player. Do you agree that those 4 athletes are absolutely differently were trained? Yes, for sure. But our coaches, sometimes they focus a lot on bodybuilding, sometimes they focus on long distance running, sometimes they focus on sprinting, and finally they not get a result of basketball players' development. And that's not easy to understand why it happened. They said, okay, during the summer we will give a lot of lifting because we wish that you improve your athletic abilities. It means you will improve your body mass. Is it correct or no? Finally, they saw that this player was getting slower, was running slower, okay, and he was not endurant. He was not endurant enough. There is another extreme situation. They were running a lot during the practice just to improve abilities which allows you to work as long as possible. And finally they saw that they lost sprinting abilities. They did a lot of sprints, yes, but they saw that they have no body mass enough and they have not enough endurance abilities. And finally, they cannot get skills, or they cannot get skills which necessary for basketball player. So, dominant law says that if you develop what kind of abilities, you lose those abilities. What you train, you develop this system. And if you develop body mass, you will develop sprint. If you develop long distance running, you develop sprinting. And if you develop sprinting, you will lose this. Basketball player needs all those things. And how to improve that? This is talking only about basketball session. So, integral way, what I mentioned before, allows you to develop those skills. Integral way, if you will use sprinting, running, and develop enough body mass, you see that he has a little bit similar things with this player, with this athlete. He has a little bit similar with this and a little bit similar with this, but this is absolutely different. So in basketball, you have to know all your own way of development player. And you have to reject, and you have to reject, and not to copy those. You have to improve your way of training. To know better those training or development methods, we have to know a little bit about long-term adaptation. Long-term adaptation is like one person's adaptation to the surrounding environment, including exercise, and it's called a phenotypic adaptation. If you work with the weights, for sure you will get phenotypic adaptation, improving your muscle mass. And there are players like Zion Williamson, yes, who has big body mass and at the same time he is explosive player. But if you will not develop your body mass, yes, for sure you will not get those big muscles, yes, for sure it depends on phenotypic or phenomenon of your adaptation. So it's also very related to what I told you before, okay? What you train, that is improved. And we have also another very important long-term adaptation example, that human adaptation to changing living conditions over many thousand and millions years by inheritance through the changing genotype factors is so-called genotypic adaptation. So did you ever notice with your kids that someone has bigger improvement, faster improvement, someone slower improvement in your group? Tell me why. What do you think? You had the same group, yes, and you had the same physical training. You had the same technical training, but one player improved faster, one player improved slower. Tell me why.
They are different.
Hmm?
They are different.
They are different, yes? What kind of difference they have? Body, yes, okay. Skills, yes. And most frequent that they have adaptation level different. And someone adapt to the training load very fast, someone adapt to the training load very slow. And that's why we see that. And we have examples like father was a good player and his son is also a good player. Father was an athlete and his son is developing himself during the practice faster. So this is so-called genotypic factors which make a big influence on players' development.
One question from internet. How is possible to recognize, let's say, which sport 10 years old kids more, let's say, suitable, more talented, let's say, between team sports and between individual and team?
Yes, that's a very good question. Thanks for this question. And in Lithuania, we already have good, very well developed system. We can make a testing, yes, and one of the ways to make a physical testing, yes, let's do like quickness and agility test. And if you see that the player is much more suitable for quickness and for sprint, there is a big possibility that he could play basketball. If he has low result in these tests, okay, that's possible that he will not possibly will play basketball. That's only physical testing. Okay, there is another way, just observation, observe player and to see, giving him, for example, some task to make like the dribbling and left side shoot, dribbling and right side shoot, okay, originally, or just giving him opportunity to play 1-1. If you see that he has skills, okay, he can coordinate his body and the ball, that's possible that he could play basketball. And also, it so much depends on his height. If he has big, possibly you have to wait a little bit and to work with him. And if he has height and good quickness abilities, that's a signal that he is possibly can play basketball. I remember some players like Yevtokas we had, who was very poor tactically and technically, but he was with very good explosive physical abilities, and he was tall, and finally he reached excellent result playing basketball. So you have to observe him in complex ways, especially if he is 10 years old. Okay, you can find some signs. Is it possible that he will be a basketball player? But if he is slow, if he has like small body, no height, no body mass, okay, probably you can offer him to choose another kind of sport.
Quickness, explosive power.
Explosive power and quickness.
And what about psychology? Because some kids can be in the group, if they can play with the team. You can see it's like an individual player, and they would be better in different sports, like, you know.
Psychology so much depends, and especially in the game sports, you know, you have to be tough. First of all, yes. First of all, you have to be tough against your opponent. You have to be loyal, yes, because you have to play with your teammates. Okay. You have to be motivated, because you have to attend each single practice every week, yes, and you have to learn from your coach. So those three things. And what's also psychologically important, your character must be so-called long and hard working person's character. If you just If you can work only for a short time, it's better to go to play some sports like discus throwing or
Concentration.
yes, you have to keep concentration because the practical sessions, they last over sometimes 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, and you have to keep this. For kids, that's very hard, and it so much depends on the coach. And if you have not interesting training sessions, okay, kids will not keep concentration during 90 minutes. Just you have to alterate your training sessions, okay, making some games and also teaching them, making some fun games also, and also basketball games, and it's so much depends on your creativity, so much. So we have, you know, in Lithuania originally on the initial phase of selection, we have to take all possible kids to involve them in basketball. Everyone has to attend basketball training, and after 4 or 5 years, you can say he can play basketball or not play basketball, or it's better to choose another kind of sport. And you know, other sports in Lithuania, they are not very happy, but they're not happy because of their faults, because they have no so developed system. For example, football. Okay, let's say we compete with football, taking best players to the basketball, and the same in Great Britain. Okay, where the strongest kids practice mostly. They practice mostly in football, because football is the most popular sport in Great Britain.
In Ireland.
In Ireland.
We have a GAA, which is football. We call hand, leg, football, whatever. And we get players who practice both sports. So it kind of combine each other, because in GAA they jump a lot and they are very fast. When they come to basketball training, they are very good players, and you know, fast breaks and you know, rebounds, but they foul a lot. So you know, it combines each other, but it gives us trouble. So I don't know, but
this is what I say. Sprinting abilities are very important. There is no possible to play sport if you have no explosive power abilities. That's one. But to teach proper technique, that's a big question and a big issue. You know, if you practice at the same time soccer and basketball, it means you're losing half time for basketball, or you're losing part of the time to practice soccer. So in Lithuania, we practice normally 4 or 5 times a week, and we play 1 or 2 games depending on championship during the week. So 6 days, okay, and intensity or volume, coach has to choose and to decide what kind of intensity. It's not possible to practice 5 days with the maximum intensity and maximum load. Basketball game also make physical load and also psychological load especially. So you have to share those components and to understand which component is much more important. But later we will talk about that for sure. So adaptation. Now we are talking again about adaptation, and there was a question from abroad about how to choose and how to select player. And one of the most important criteria, as I told you, how to measure them, muscle fibers. And muscle fibers are divided in 2 groups according to their structure and function: slow twitch fibers and fast twitch fibers. And you can measure that making tests. And I know some coaches, you know, they doing tests every single practice before they start. Just simply make a vertical jump test and you will see. If you see and follow the result during the whole year, even if you do that once a week during the Monday, you can get an answer. Is this player suitable for basketball or no? Or do you make any improvement during your training period? So, okay, and those motor units, if you see that he is much more endurant, okay, slow twitch fibers contract slowly with a high mitochondrial content and high level of oxygen and generally I want to say it's better to recommend him to run long distance instead to play basketball. And there are some fast players with genetically fast fibers, and you can recommend him to practice basketball. We did a research with the average Lithuanian basketball team, making measure, okay, in a fast twitch fibers content. And if fibers dominate fast twitch, okay, you can gain good result. This was my team, 41%. This is a Swedish soccer team, 59%. And Ramūnas Šiškauskas, he is a best European player of 2007, and he made this test 55% of fast twitch fibers. So genetically determined feature, and it so much depends on the result, and you can select your players. And everyone is trying to find this kind of player. If he is quick, and if he is tall, and if he is coordinated, that's a chance to develop this player and to get finally good result. Right now we have a lot of prospective players, but later you have psychological players, IQ, social factors, some players losing themselves because of social factors, and so on and so on. But mainly genetical factor of physical abilities is important. And we have training principles. Coach has to know them, and I will try to explain these principles. Principle of systematic. This principle says that adaptation law gives you an explanation. Rest and physical load must be combined. And if you have during the week 3 practical sessions, please never make them on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Why? Because there is no system. 1-2 days in the row make them tired, but 4 days in the row rest will make them losing information which you gave them on the beginning of the week. So system has to be during the week, and system has to be during the practice. It's better to teach in the morning practice technical abilities. It's better to teach tactical abilities in the evening practice. That's a system, because your muscles are fresh and those muscles accept faster and better information. Tactical abilities, okay, you can repeat, yes, and you can accept this information with all your players better in the evening. So if you want to improve quickness, you have to improve this quickness at the beginning of the practice. If you want to improve endurance, you have to move that on the end of the practice. That sounds a system. Consistency. Consistency means that you have to start with a lower intensity and to go to the higher intensity. It means beginning of the training session, beginning of the training period after the summer, everyone coach sometimes wants to make a lot, but you have to start very consistently, making low load and going to the high load. Not making high load and going to the low load. Principle of variation. You know, players, it's not a matter of age, okay, getting tired if you repeat your exercises, the same exercises every day. What happens if you repeat every day the same exercises? Tell me.
They get bored.
They say, that's not interesting, coach. And they not accept this information. But you have to know how to variate. Is it okay to change every exercise every day? 2 weeks. 2 weeks, every one day, every single day, a new exercises.
Depending on what you put emphasis on, I think.
Yes, you can repeat that.
Yeah.
You can repeat that, but you have to variate in the right way. If you teach shooting every practice, is it okay?
Yes.
Shooting is okay, yes. But you say, players will say, coach, okay, we shoot or not, they will not say nothing, but they will do that in the 50% of their efforts. It will be okay? No, no. It means you have to try to make your players to work in 100% in the maximum efforts. And if you will make them a new signal and they will accept the signal, it will be interesting, yes, and it will be effective. Principle of variation. Principle of availability. Yes, to know that your goal, your aim will be achieved. If you say that, guys, for kids who are 10 years old, you say, guys, if we practice well, after 2 years we will play EuroLeague. Nobody will trust you. But if you say that, if we will learn how to dribble, how to shoot, how to pass, how to play together pick and roll, this goal will be achieved if they practice in the right way. Individualization. That's also a very important principle, and in Lithuania we apply a lot practices, okay, to individualize them. Despite that we have different position, okay, we have different players and different their abilities in the technical development. So work individually or work in some small groups is one of important things. And principle of anticipation. We're really missing players who understand situation, how to say, in advance. So, do you understand what is anticipation in basketball? Faster response than your opponent makes some move. Let's say, I know that he is dribbled to the right side. I have to understand that he will dribble to the right and I will taking position. I'm taking position to stopping him to dribble to the right. That's anticipation. If I see that my defender takes this position, I go to the opposite position. If I see that my defender is standing up front, too much up front of me, okay, I will. My opponent is close to myself, I will dribble faster. So we call this anticipation principle, but this is a principle of development individual tactical abilities. And during the physical exercise, work must be close to that of the play, and those muscles whose active are directly involved in the action on the pitch must be stressed. This picture is not occasional. You see, those players, they do dribbling with 2 balls, and it is pretty popular everywhere, like ball handling. And my question, do players play basketball with 2 basketballs? Never. But if you emphasize 2 balls dribbling and you repeat that every single practice, I am really afraid that you will develop your dribbling skills making penetration. Do you agree with that? That's again creativity, and some coaches are very creative. They do dribbling with 2 balls, with 3 balls. They do some drills laying on the floor, okay, and dribbling the ball, okay. They're shooting some or passing the ball in not basketball game manner, but there is exercises. Work must be close to that of the play, and all your work must be very closely related to the play, and your practice must be as you have model in the game. And this is information about that. Researchers have found that professional team game lasts 94 minutes on average. Active activity averages 40 minutes, and passive activity and breaks 55 minutes. So total 95 minutes. Look, activity periods are as follows. 6-second activity average 54%. Less and 6 seconds activity, 11 and 20 seconds activity, 27% of the matches. And rest breaks lasting 30 seconds accounted for almost half of the game, 49%. What does it mean? This is a model of the game, and we have to plan our practice depending on these data. Look again. From 1 to 2nd second, it takes half of the game. It means very short and very intensive bounce dominating during the game. It means that 50% of the practical session must be focused on this. We have to train, or we have to practice with the ball or without the ball. It's up to us, but those intensive bounds must be repeated over 30 or 40 times. 20 seconds, only 27% of the matches and of course of the practice. So, and we have to combine that with the rest, which could be up to 30 seconds. And finally, I want to show you that we did a research making a pulse rate during 1 quarter for one player. You see that it's going up and down, depending on game situation, okay? And player was playing 10 minutes, and it also confirms our claimant that it's not it's not a game of one intensity. So it's also depend on nervous system, because impulses have to be transferred from brain to the muscles, yes, and new impulse from the sensory area of the brain pass through the nervous into the muscles, and you will get this information. So what does a coach need to know in preparation for basketball practice? Once again, okay, for physical conditioning, all stuff what I mentioned for you, technical training, offensive and defensive stuff, tactical training, on ball, off ball defense, and you follow all possible information which you will receive here from the practical session, and also psychological training or psychological or mental training, which you will get, I don't know, here in our program. So now your questions and time for discussions. Finally, I want to say that basketball coaching is an extremely complex thing, and coaches usually not being very well, or not, coaches are not strong in all those my mentioned aims. Someone coach strong in the technical training, someone coach is better in the physical training, someone coach is better in the tactical training, but junior players coaches has to understand everything. And depending on their level, okay, depending on their level, what kind of level they have, okay, they have better achievements. I know very good coaches who are very well understand psychological things. They are very good teachers of the players. Okay, they know how to organize the group. They are well liked coaches, and those coaches also reach good results. But in Lithuania, tactical training is in the first place right now. And physical training and technical training is also in the high level, I want to say.
One question from internet. The coach has heard that in some countries there is youth coaches that are responsible only for a certain period of training, let's say from 10 to 12 years and so on. So what's the advantage and disadvantage between these two systems, when one coach leading 12 years and another system when they are switching every 3 years?
I like the system and I support the system, and I was trying to apply this system in Lithuania in one basketball school. But what is good of this system, that if you have, as I mentioned you before, okay, in technical training, of youth technical training, you will give your all possible knowledge to this age group, and you will develop until this age. Let's say you will give basics, all possible basics, like how to dribble the ball, how to shoot the ball, how to pass the ball, and after you finish this group, after 4 years, you will start with a new group and you will develop a new group. This is like a teacher of primary school. Yes, primary school teachers, they have a special skills, and they work with these kids, okay, giving everything what possible, like a background for the future. next group of the coaches who can understand much more tactical things. How to apply technical and combine them with the technical abilities. And this is a very good idea. And I was in Germany in football. They used the system. And the oldest group from 16 to 18 years, you have already teenagers. And this is a special group of players. They have some special characters. And you have to understand them. You have to work with them. But in Lithuania, this system is absolutely not developed. This system doesn't work because coaches, they want to start with the players and they want to finish with these players and to take all possible awards after they finish with it. If player gets to the national team, okay, coaches wish to be awarded for this player, that he prepared this player for the Lithuanian national team. So it's like, how to say, psychological factor which not allows us to develop the system. But this system is absolutely okay. And new countries who develop their systems, I will always advise them to use the system for better improvement.
In Ireland, we have like the basketball growing a little bit, especially in women's side. The Irish women are stronger than men's. But we still get kids coming into, let's say, if you have an under 14 team and you still get new players coming in. So what would you suggest to do with the group of developed players and new players came into the same team? Would you suggest to separate them and work separately, or the developed players need to, train together?
It's all depend on their level. For example, if I will give you an example in Lithuania. If some players will join to the group of 10 years old players, there is no possible to join with them if he is a fresh and he didn't practice before. There is no chance to join to the group who's already practiced 2 or 3 years, because they have. So comparing those this group and this player, there is a huge difference between them and them. There is 14 years. It's if this group is how to say, is not strong, that it's possible to play together, especially if you play some sports before, handball, or he plays some football. Probably that's possible if he's tall. I know some examples. We had a lot of examples when players joined to play basketball in a very late stage. We had one Lithuanian national team player who used to play handball until 14 years old, and he was in my team. He played handball, but he was physically very strong. He was quick. It was very easy to work with him because he was very loyal to the team. He was very coachable player. He did a lot of travels because we had not enough skills in the basketball, but finally he reached excellent result.
Yeah, but like we can't let us to say to the player, oh, you can't be in this team because we are short.
Yes, you have.
But would you suggest, let's say, to train that player more individually?
That's one of the ways how to improve him. And if you see that there is a opportunity to train him individually, that's one.
Kind of stopping the rest of the team because you need to.
That's true, yeah. If you just put him in the whole group, for sure you will stop development of other players. That's a big risk, yes. And players, they say that's not interesting. It will hurt them mentally, yes. And you have to share those things.
Okay, maybe we make a little break, because all basically 3 sessions are very much connected. to each other.
Absolutely.
And kind of continuation. We will go through this preparation of youth players. So, I mean, the main idea of today is basically to present you systemized approach to the, let's say, maybe course that students in Lithuania are going for maybe 1 year. So just to cover all these things in several practices, just to build an understanding, I mean, how it goes. Of course, in this many physiological things which you should learn, but I will talk about the testing and so on. I think Professor Rutenis will touch today selection. You talk already, but selection process is very much important. You know that we are counting that 50% of your success basically belong on your selection process and so on. But sure, we will go